Yeah? This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Herb.
Good evening. My name is Herb Graham. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you. Thank you. Newcomers, I don't know what I'd done if my first meeting in Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't know if I'd have done when they come and lock the front door on me like that. I kind of thought it was a cult anyhow, and I thought, wait a minute, you're locking us in? I'd like to thank Michelle for asking me to come up, and she's not here, but Sandy, thank you for making me welcome. Jeannie, Susie, Joe, good seeing you here. Alcoholics Anonymous. When I speak at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I like to talk, I do a little different. I like to talk about the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, the disease of alcoholism and stuff like that, because a lot of people get up here, the average person's attention span is 7 minutes. And God knows what an alcoholic's is, I've lost some of you already, huh? I want to welcome the 4 newcomers and the gentleman from Colorado. Welcome. Hope you enjoy your Southern California and have a safe trip home. Thank you. And I'd like to tell you guys that alcoholism is the 3rd largest killer in the world. It's third only to heart disease and cancer. But I honestly do believe that if every alcohol death was actually an alcohol-related death, it'd be far superior to both of them, or either one of them, or maybe both. What I'm saying here is if you drink a lot and your liver get liver failure and you die of liver, it's not alcohol, it's not a death certificate, it's not an alcohol-related death. Say you're drinking excessive drinking, your esophagus blows up, bleed to death in 8.4 seconds. If alcohol is not there, it's not an alcohol-related death. Go up on the freeway drunk, kill 7,000 people, it's called a traffic accident, not drunk driving. Say, if every alcohol death was actually alcohol, now I'm not talking about the guy that got drunk and shot his wife, or the wife got shot and drunk the husband, or robbed a liquor store and got shot. I'm talking about just actually, it's astounding how bad it is, see? And you can have a sure cure for that by, like I said, 90 meetings in 90 days, get a sponsor, work 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Very, very simple, very hard, very, very difficult at times, but you can do it. Guys, I'm going to, John, forgive me tonight because I got a real bad cold. I should have stayed home. My wife told me to stay home, and I said when I was drinking, I didn't stop because of a cold, so here I am. Got a dry mouth, and I'm just going to drink a lot of water, but we'll get through it anyhow. If I just sit down and shut up, that's what happened. But anyhow, I'd like to talk about the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. First of all, the first step is we admit we're powerless over alcohol, and our lives become unmanaged. If you guys see how it's written up there, there's a little line in the middle of them. You're powerless over alcohol, your life's unmanageable. The little line means new subject, new thought. When you're powerless over alcohol, a lot of people are powerless over alcohol, or their life's unmanageable. One of the two, but not together. See, they're different altogether. Step 2, you came to believe that a power greater than yourself could restore you to sanity. You came to believe. That's in the Bible. The same thing in the Bible says you came to trust. The word came to believe is you came to trust a power greater than yourself could restore you to sanity. Step 3, you made a decision to turn your will and life to the care of God as you understand Him. You made a decision is all you did. You came to believe, you made a decision. Now, nobody has ever committed suicide by making a decision to jump off of a building. See, you're making a decision. Page 63 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you get on your knees to response to the 3rd step prayer. That's how it did with me, and that's how it worked so far. Step 4, I don't like to talk about step 4 and 5 from the podium because that's sponsor stuff, but I will say this, it made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And it's very, very important to have a sponsor. It's so important to get your ego out of the way and do this thing. Step 5, you admit it to God, yourself, and another human being the exact nature of your wrongs. Now I'm going to ask you a question here. How can you admit to God in step 5 if you didn't come to believe in step 2? See how they're tied together, see? Step 6 and step 7 are very, very, very important steps. There's 2 paragraphs in each one of them written in the big book. My sponsor tells me that I'll be working steps 6 and 7 the rest of my life. And he's probably right, Step 6, you're entirely ready of God, remove your defects of character. 7, you ask him to remove your shortcomings. they're kind of like, I work a perfect program. Like right now, I'm working a great program here. Talking to people one-on-one, I do a great thing. But get me up on the freeway, I can go back 29 years about that quick, you know. Oh, but I forgot to tell you, I'm sorry, my sobriety date is January 28, 1981. My sponsor is Pete O'Brien. My home group is San Pedro New Friends Group, and I have another one in Seal Beach, Monday Night Seal Beach Speakers Group. But up on the freeway and somebody cuts me off, I go back right out like I was 29 years ago. It's just, I don't know. I just can't, that's something I haven't got the patience for yet. I'm still working on it. But you know what? It's like you're going down the street and somebody cuts you off and you chase them down the freeway, okay? Down the freeway, down the street, up the driveway into their house. See, you can't do that. Then you can probably get shot, you know. But somebody told me one time to go to excess. You're chasing somebody down the freeway. If you go past your exit, then you went to excess. So you went too far. Get off and forget it. Man. But then you got step 8. You made a searching and fearless moral inventory of it. I'm sorry, yeah. Made less of all persons did harm, became willing to make amends to them all. I'm sorry. And you start making this list. You start making your list. Like I say, you take this from step 5. You got to have your sponsor here, because you start taking these and making these amends and stuff like that. Step 9, you made direct amends. People never possibly accept and injure them or do so with others. Basically, what I'm saying on step 9 is a good, for instance, on step 9. If you do this without a sponsor, here's a guy one time, he stood this girl up for the prom. 20 years ago, he stood this girl up. He knew he just devastated this girl. She'll never be able to forgive him for that. She just devastated her. He's making his amends, so he goes down to her house. He's going to knock on her door and make this amends without talking to his sponsor, see. He knocked on her door. She's married with 3 kids, and she come to the door, and he told her who he was, and she don't even know who he is, you know. She ain't got a clue. So he left here, his ego's about out to here, and he got walked away. And basically what he did, this husband and wife argued for about 6 months about this jerk to come knocking on their front door is what happened, see. So you didn't gain anything but that. But if you're in this room tonight, and you're in the amends stage of your program, if you're working your amends tonight, I want you to remember anything. Don't hear anything I say tonight. Remember what I'm telling you right now. When you're making your amends, you cannot talk you out of something you behaved yourself into. You can't talk you out of something you behaved yourself into. Behave yourself back out of it. Give you a good for instance on how that works with me. First 17 years I was married, I brought nothing to the party. I brought absolutely nothing to the party the first 17 years. I was a bartender for about 10 years. And slow horses, fast women, and whiskey. That's why I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous today. Maybe not in that order, but that's the 3 things it was. And I'll get into that a little bit later on. But in the amends thing, I was 82 days sober. I got a job in an oil refinery. First job I had probably 3 years. See, because I was a functioning alcoholic. Guys, a functioning alcoholic is a guy that has a wife that works. Functioning alcoholic. My wife, when I got this job, and I was making, labor in an oil refinery. About my second or third paycheck, I want my name on them checks. I'm the breadwinner now, see? I'm the breadwinner. And I told my sponsor about it. My sponsor laughed about it. He thought that was really funny. He says, you know what? He says, you take your paycheck. You throw it on the dresser for 1 year. We'll see about getting your name on the checks. Somewhere she ran out of checks. I'm like, somewhere along the line, my name came up on the checks. I don't know when it happened. Don't care. But I retired after 27 and a half years in that refinery. And every Thursday or Friday when I got my check, I threw it on the dresser. I've been married, this Sunday will be our anniversary, with 46 years, and I have yet to pay a bill. I don't pay bills. I don't care. I don't pay bills. I've never paid a bill. Why start now? I just don't care. But see, that's the amends I'm making to this lady. That's what I'm talking about. You don't talk yourself out something you behave yourself into. I'm behaving myself back out of this. My sponsor and I figured out if I do this for 355,212 more years, then I'll be even with that lady for what I put her through. Say. But I'm still working on that one, see. So that's your amends thing with me. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory and wrong, promptly admit it. Work step 10 on a daily basis. just continues. That keeps me from getting garbage piled up. See, when I go to bed at night, what I try to do when I get up in the morning, first thing I do is get up in the morning and I get on my knees and pray. Okay, and I'll suggest something to you if when I can put my head on a pillow at night. I don't do it all the time, but most of the time I try to run through my day real quick. How did my day go? Did I screw this up? What did I do wrong? Because I always find something, you know. But I try to get my head clear with God before I go to bed, go to sleep, see. Because I heard a saying told me one time that said, a clear conscience is the softest pillow you ever find. See? So get your head right before you try to go to sleep. And a lot of times it'll work for you. Step 11, so through prayer and meditation, improve our conscious contact with God's understanding, praying on for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Prayer and meditation, two different things. Prayer you talk to God, meditation you listen. And if you're, like I said, if you're new in Alcoholics Anonymous and new to prayer, I'd like to make a suggestion to you. Keep your prayers simple. When you get on your knees in the morning to say your good morning, say, God, keep me sober today and do harm to no one. Because you'll find if you get on your knees and start begging, you have a begging contest with God, you're going to start asking for things you want, not things you need. So just keep it simple. Just say, God, keep me sober today and do harm to no one. If you have a problem getting on your knees in the morning, you don't have the meeting tonight, throw your car keys under the bed. When you get on your knees, get your car keys out from under the bed, say, God, keep me sober today and do harm to no one. Very simple. You'd be surprised how habit forming that is, and you just start doing it, you know. But step 12, having had a spiritual awakening, result of these steps, we practice these principles in all our affairs. You know, that's basically what we're all doing here tonight. We're doing these. The chairperson, the most important person in Alcoholics Anonymous meeting to me, the most important person in the meeting is the person to put them chairs out. You know, think about this. You can live without coffee. But who's going to stand around here all this time, listen to this jerk talk for 45 minutes? See? The chairperson, most important person in the meeting. Anyhow, that's basically the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and the program as I learned it. And I will go back into, now I get drunk or do whatever I want to do now, see. I'm from a steel town, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now they had Crucible Steel, Jones and Laughlin Steel, they had all these steel mills, right? I worked for a company called Spot and Steel. We spot it in daytime and steal it at night. I was an entrepreneur of car parts is what I was. Some of you old timers remember a speaker named Norm Alpe? Okay, Norm Alpe and I had the same, we talked before about this, our lives at 19 or 18, 17, in that area, were paralleled on how we acted with stealing cars and stuff like that. So I think he was one of the best speakers Alcoholics Anonymous ever heard. But you know, anyhow, when I was back, alcohol was not a big deal for me when I was younger. I don't remember this. I can't believe people that. Two things I don't understand is how do you remember having your first drink in a year? Another thing I don't understand is speaking up here and I'll talk about. You know, the day I got sober. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was driving down the street and there was this red car in front of me. I don't remember. I don't know how they can remember all that stuff. Anyhow, when I was a kid in high school, we didn't really drink. We didn't do that much drinking. Maybe a quart of beer now and then just to be a big shot, something like that. But the girls, I really never had a problem dancing with girls in high school and stuff like that, you know. Just alcohol kind of hindered me more than it helped me. And a guy said, well, I go clear across the room and ask her to dance. She says, no, what do I do, you know. Ask the next one, you know. Don't set your sights so high anyhow, you know, but anyhow. But see, when I was dating girls in high school, my plan was always when I go to meet, see, back in my day, you had to meet the mom and dad. You really had to meet mom and dad and stuff like this, right? My plan always was to make the mother like me. My goal was to make mom like me, that way dad had to like you. And chances are the girl would. See? Wait, I'll tell you this story. This leads up to how I came to California from Pittsburgh. I was doing a lot of drag racing and drinking and stuff like that back east, and the cops were kind of getting onto our car parts business, and we were drag racing cars and stuff like that, getting a little bit of trouble. And this new girl came into the school, so I said, you know what? I'm going to ask that girl to dance. You know, I'm going to ask this girl out to this dance we was going to. And this buddy of mine says, oh, she's real quiet, you know. So I asked this girl she says, oh, my parents are very strict. She says, my parents, you have to sit down and talk to my parents. I'm thinking, that's my strong point, talking to women, the mothers. I'm good at that. I went out to these people's house and I sat at the kitchen table for 45 minutes with that mother and father, talking about my intentions. 45 minutes we talked about this. Now, seniors in high school don't have intentions, okay? And I still ain't done some things I told them people I was going to do, you know. But I'm going to tell you what this family thought of me. The father came up to me one day. He was getting transferred to Hawthorne, California. He came up to me and he says, listen, he says, I'm getting transferred to Hawthorne, California. And if you want to come to California, you got a home with us. You're welcome to come out if you want to come out. That's the mother's dad, or the girl's dad. So long story short, they went to California, and I started getting in some trouble back there. And so there wasn't hardly any work back there, and I didn't know how to make an honest buck anyhow, you know. And so I hitchhiked to California. 1962, I hitchhiked. I had $43 in my pocket, and I hitchhiked to California. Got to Hawthorne, California. Got a job at a Kenneth Chevrolet dealership in Hawthorne. My mom was a surgical nurse. My dad had a trucking company. And my mom was talking about coming out here because my dad's trucking company, everything was going pretty bad when the steel mills let go back in the 60s in Pittsburgh. It was a bad place to be from. I mean, it was a great town to be from, I think. I mean, I'm still proud of being from there. But it was so dirty and stuff back there. I mean, it'd be nuts to see the Ohio River on fire. You know, you talk about polluted waters. I mean, you can see the river burning. You know, it's just stuff coming out of the steel mills. But that was just way of life. It had snowed, and then the snow would get black in about a half hour, and then the snow again, you know. But that's the way it was. Anyhow, I come to California, I get a job, and we started drag racing on Hawthorne Boulevard. It was amazing. My mom and dad came out here 3 months after I came out here. And when my mom passed away here not too long, about 4 years ago now, I found some paperwork. You know how mothers save stuff. My mom saved my driving records and some stuff that she had kept from me. I got my first drunk driving January 28th, 1962, and I got sober January 28th, 1981. See, it started and ended on January 28th for me. I got my first drunk driving at 19 years old. I was drinking Southern Comfort. Took me a little farther south than I wanted to go. Is what happened, you know. And then we were hanging around Hawthorne A&W, and we were drinking slow gin and A&W root beer. Yeah, a universal drink. Listen, it tasted the same coming back up as it did going down. It was just very universal drink. Yeah. And I met her. Okay, she came into Hawthorne A&W. Wow, and she was a good-looking girl, had this long blonde hair, driving a brand new Culver. Buddy of mine, we were sitting there watching her drive through, and I said, you know, I'm going to take that girl out. And he said, oh, man, you can't take that girl out. So I bet you $5 I can. You know, like I said, we've been married almost 46 years. He still ain't paying me the $5. He still owes me. But anyhow, she was the type person that when she went out on dates, they went to the theater. Okay, not to show the theater, see. They go to Grandma Chinese, did dinner and all this high-class stuff. Our first date, buddy of mine and I were putting a 421 Pontiac motor in a 57 Chevy. Our first date consists of, we went up to this guy's house, and I'm crawling under a car, measuring motor mounts, and she's writing numbers down for me. She's helped me get this car lined up. That's our first date. Then we went back to Hawthorne A&W, and a waitress I was dating was there, and she put perfume in her root beer. That was our first date. And it went downhill from there. Our second date, we met this buddy of mine, the bet me the $5 guy, met him at a walk-in theater in Inglewood. It was dark, the movie had already started, we got there, and she said, how are you ever going to find him? I said, it won't be hard. I said, Johnny, and he said, over here. I said, see, it wasn't that hard. She said, I'm glad it's dark in here. You know, that was our second date. And so anyhow, long story short, we dated for a while, and I got a job. I got a job as a brakeman for Santa Fe Railroad in 1966. I was going to have that job forever. See, I was going to have that job. I'm going to die at that job. Well, I found out that you could call in sick. Just call them, lay me off. You could stay off for 12 days without doctors or anything, just to go back before the 13th day. I call in for a couple, 3 days. I'm sitting in a place called the Red Coat Inn on Imperial Highway. The reason I'm even there is because he was a helicopter and all these secretaries are in there for lunch and stuff. So I'm there having a beer about 11:30 in the morning. This waitress come up, and now Loretta used to say she waited on the Last Supper. That's how long she's been a waitress. See? And she come up, she was swearing and throwing things. The busboy didn't show up. She said, get some water on that table. They told me, get some water on that table. I'm busting tables, man. I'm pouring coffee. I'm getting water for people. I'm having a ball with all these pretty ladies in there. I'm just having a ball. Bartender looked at me and he says, you had a lot of fun doing that, didn't you? I said, that was a lot of fun. You ought to be a bartender. He said, that'd be a great job for you. And I'll tell you what, guys, that's the best job never will for an alcoholic, bartender. You can't beat it. Waitress is second. She gets her drinks from the bartender, see. Anyhow, long story short, I ended up 7 months later, I took Mike's job. Mike went somewhere else, and now I'm a bartender. I called the railroad, called in sick, and just never went back. I still got a paycheck from them for 2 days or something like that. I never did, just didn't go back. I'd making a lot of money. See, that's where the problem started, see, because I couldn't say no to the ladies, okay? I couldn't say no and they wouldn't quit asking. It was just that simple. I just couldn't say no and they wouldn't quit asking. It was like, when I hear a woman talk, when I hear a lady talking Alcoholics, a lady speaker talking Alcoholics Anonymous, she talks about the demoralizing feelings waking up with the guy not knowing who he is and stuff like that. I know exactly how you feel, ladies, because I did it with women. I know your feelings right down to, I know it all too well. I know what it's like to wake up. Who is she? Where we are? Who, where's the car? Who, it's just a bad feeling. It was like, I was just, my wife caught me walking out of her best friend's apartment one morning. 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. We lived in apartment 5. This girl lived in 6. Our kids played together. Yeah. She came home one night I was working one night, and this is a true story. She came home she was at the bar one night. I was drinking. She came in the bar once I want to have a drink, kind of probably just looking around. I got home the next day. I come home. She said, boy, it's a good thing you come home last night. And my first thought was, okay, good, Well, why? She said, you remember that girl sitting beside me at the bar, the blonde? And a brunette sitting there. She said, you remember them? I said, no, I knew who they were. I said, no, I don't remember. Didn't pay no attention. She says, that blonde told that brunette that she's going to take that bartender to bed tonight. Diane told her, she says, that's my husband. She says, I don't give a damn who he is. I'm taking him to bed. She told my wife that. I said, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that. But I look back on probably what happened is that girl probably told me she is taking me to bed, and I probably told her, who the hell are you? I pick who I take. You don't tell me. And I was an arrogant guy. I was really bad back then, But anyhow, the drinking, I started drinking for the guilt. It was just the guilt. See, I just hadn't seen my kids. I hadn't seen my kids for 3 or 4 days. Because my wife worked, and I'd get home from work at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning if I got home. She'd be gone when I got up, and I'd be gone before she got home. So we really just didn't see each other. But I hadn't seen my kids. One night I came to work, and I said, I'm going home tonight. I'm going home. I'm done with this. I'm going home tonight. 9:30, 10 o'clock, 2 girls sit down. I see when this ain't going to work. Her house, I don't get home again. See, that's just the way things were. I got to where I drank so much, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't get the guilt to quit. The drinking got to me where I couldn't do it anymore. I drank myself out of good jobs. That's back, see, when I was a bartender, back in the day when I was a bartender, that's back when bartending was a profession. You made all your drink. You made everything from scratch. Before the pressing the buttons to get the 7-Up and stuff like that. It was all bottles. Your white shirt, white necktie, cummerbund, single button jacket, the styled hair, the manicured fingernails. It was a profession, see? And I couldn't even get a job at a beer bar at the end, see? And drinking, I'll tell you where drinking took me. My daughters were 16 and 12. See, I got to tell you, my favorite drunk, let me tell you my favorite drunk story before I go any farther. My favorite drinking story, 1966. Brakeman of the railroad, Sunday afternoon, we started drinking Red Mountain wine. Okay, now guys, if you don't know, Red Mountain wine was $1.49 a gallon. and it never knew a grape. Red Mountain wine, we're drinking Sunday afternoon. Next thing I know, we're sitting in a bar at the Century Room on Century and Aviation, and a waitress on this side of me, she's going to help you, and I still have a scotch and water. That's like it was yesterday. I remember this like it was yesterday. We had a couple, 3 drinks, whatever, walked outside, and it was sunny and bright, and I said, my God, it's been a long day. Yeah. My buddy said something about it. I said, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Now, I don't remember Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday morning. My wife had, nobody I knew, to this day, I have no idea where it was for 2.5 days. And I told my sponsor that. My sponsor started laughing like hell. I said, what are you laughing about? And he said, well, you realize that no matter what you hear somebody say in Alcoholics Anonymous, you can never say you didn't do that because you don't know what you did for 2 days. It's okay, you know. Anyhow, the drinking took me to where my drinking buddy at the time, my drinking buddy was named Cheryl. Cheryl was a drinking buddy of mine. Cheryl was my lower companion, okay? Now, Cheryl's the next bartender, and my wife would say, where you been? I said, Cheryl's. See, now, like I say, this part of my story I'm going to tell you, the time frame, I don't know if it was 6 months, 3 months, 2 years. I just don't know. I don't remember any part of that. It could be a year, 2 months, I don't know. But Cheryl's my drinking buddy. My daughters are 16 and 12. If I'd be passed out on the couch and my wife came home from work and she came home, she'd make my kids wait on the front porch, come in to make sure I was alive before she let the kids come in. She thought she was going to find her dad dead on the couch. Say, I'd come to at 6 o'clock and it's dark at 6 in the morning, 6 at night. I turn on the television. John Wayne movie, 6 in the morning. Cal Warrington commercial, 6 in the morning. News, 6 at night. That's what I thought, okay? Cheryl's my drinking buddy. Cheryl and I would drink, and my wife would say, where you been? With Cheryl's. That's okay. Say, Cheryl and I, we don't think we ever made love. Because we don't think we was both ever undressed at the same time. I think that was, you know, she'd be passed out on the bathroom floor, I'd be passed out on the kitchen floor. Anyhow, Cheryl was a drinker. Now, Cheryl drank vodka right out of the bottle, see, and I still used a glass. That was my measuring stick, see. But Cheryl and I walked out of the Wayfair restaurant one night. It was a Sunday night. I know it was Sunday night because the bar closed at 12 o'clock and the liquor store was still open. We got 2 bottles. We got a bottle of vodka and a bottle of scotch. Raining like hell. We're walking across Narbonne, and I fell. Alcoholic fall, right? Save the booze. Face on the concrete. Heard a bottle break, and I said, God, I hope that was a vodka. You know, we broke the scotch, so we drank vodka that night. But Cheryl would, she, like I say, she was worse than I was. Say, I walked into Wayfair restaurant one time. And they told me, they said, if Cheryl calls you, don't call her because she's in San Pedro Peninsula Hospital getting sober. My first question was, why? See, when your lower companion gets sober, buddy, it's a demoralizing feeling. See, Cheryl got sober, and I thought, wow, you know, and her life changed. Cheryl never talked about the big book. She never talked about programs. She never talked one thing to me, but I knew it was something different. I found out what it was later. I didn't know at the time, but I found out. See, used to be an old Baptist minister, J. Vernon McGee, used to say, if you're a Christian person, you're allowed to be the first Bible someone ever reads. I'm here to tell you guys, if you're an Alcoholics Anonymous, you're walking and walking, talking and talking, you're allowed to be the first big book someone reads. I was reading Cheryl's big book and didn't even know it. I started to talk about going to quit drinking. My daughters used to say, when are you going to quit drinking? Say, I had no idea. I didn't even know what was going on. I heard middle of the night, I had a Bill Wilson experience. Okay, like hospital, the spiritual thing he had. Middle of the night, I heard a voice that said, we're going to do something about your drinking. I heard that voice. I heard that as plain as I'm telling you guys right now. I heard that voice so plain, we're going to do something about your drinking. I'd love to tell you guys that the ceiling spread out, the thunderclap, the lightning flashed, and I haven't had a drink since. Hey, what happened? I probably smoked a cigarette, drank a few more beers, passed out again. But I started thinking. My daughter said, Dad, when are you going to quit drinking? I said, after the Super Bowl. I said, where did that come from? Must have been January, you know. But I started talking. Now, keep this in mind, guys. When I quit drinking, I weighed 120 pounds. My skin looked about the color of your driveway. And I was losing 3 pounds a week and knew it, didn't care. When I took my physical for the brakeman of the Santa Fe Railroad, took this physical, and the doctor They gave me the physical. I was 23 years old. He says, you'll never see 40 if you don't do something about your drinking. He wouldn't tell me what it was. I was 37. I'd have never made it. I called his office. And this girl, Donna, was a secretary, nurse, whatever she was there. Called her up, told her who I was. I got to do something about my drinking. She said, call this phone. I think she went to work that day with this phone number in her hand to give it to me. That's basically how quick she came up with this number. San Pedro Peninsula Hospital, where Cheryl went. I thought, wow. So I called a guy, and he says, you ready to quit drinking? I said, I think, and he hung up on me. I called him back, and he's ready to quit drinking. I said, yeah. He's been 8 o'clock in the morning, got out of bed for you. Meant nothing to me at the time. Now, this is where it started being strange, guys. Remember I told you I come to? I woke up the next morning. Didn't come to, I woke up. Now, I know everything that happened that morning. Everything, I woke up, I'm sitting there, and I get to my two financial sources, my wife's bank, my wife's purse, kids' piggy bank. I got 2 tall cans of Budweiser. And I remember everything like it was yesterday. I drank that last can of beer. There was a pencil on the coffee table. Drew an X on that can. I said, I'll never have another one of these as long as I live. That's a total surrender, guys. Had no idea what the first 3 steps were. Didn't have a clue. Didn't know anything about Alcoholics Anonymous, but I took 3 steps right there. My total surrender to alcohol. I started crying, told my wife, I said, let's go to the hospital. Went to San Pedro Hospital. She came to visit me on Sunday night. I got there on a Wednesday. I found out it was Wednesday. I found this out later on. I didn't have any idea. She came to visit me on Sunday night, and she said to me, that's the first time I've kissed you, you didn't smell like alcohol. I've been married 17 years. It's the first time I ever kissed you, didn't smell like alcohol. I didn't have a problem with it. Now, that lady said something to me. The next thing that lady said to me made my sobriety so easy. The next thing that lady told me is she says, look, the only way this thing's going to work is our lives start brand new right now. That lady has never thrown the past in my face. Not one time has she ever thrown the past in my face. See, our lives start brand new today. And that was just a miracle. That's God does that, because man can't pull something like that off, see. Not the stuff she went through, see. We had one argument since I've been sober. We went to Washington, D.C., then rented a car in Washington, D.C., and drove to Pittsburgh, my hometown. Going into Pittsburgh, last time I was on the Pennsylvania Turnpike was 1961. This is 94. I'm lost. And I will not stop for directions in my hometown. I refuse to stop for directions in my hometown, right? Oh, God, I was lost. I was going the wrong way. Anyhow, that's our argument, So, I'm in San Pedro Peninsula Hospital, and I don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue, like everybody else. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, I walk in. This one new counselor comes in. I walked in. This guy says, "My name is Ross. I'm your counselor." I was ready to listen. Right then. I was ready to listen. I caught alcoholism. I was ready to listen to Ross. For some reason, I was ready to listen to Ross. I come out of San Pedro Hospital at 23 days. Cheryl's husband, Eddie, was my self-made sponsor. Your sponsor be at TLC tonight, 8 o'clock, 8:30 meeting. Be here at 8 o'clock. Be there. Eddie got me a job. My first commitment was working a coffee bar. Now think about this. That's back when you poured cups of coffee. The ABCs, ashtrays, brooms, coffee cups. Okay. I was a bartender. I was pouring coffee. I was emptying ashtrays. I was telling Joe, I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous the very first time I was there because I was a bartender. I'm back what I used to do. Had a ball. I had a great time that night. And so I started going to these meetings, and I got this. Eddie was my sponsor, and Eddie drank. My sponsor drank on me. I was about probably 40, 50 days sober. I forget. I don't know what it was now. And when Eddie started drinking, Cheryl came up and she says, Eddie's drinking. You gotta. I said, so what? He drank, I didn't. You told me don't drink. It really made no bearing on me at all. This kid, Raymond, he sponsored him. Raymond had 22 days. He was going to drink. Raymond's going to drink over this, right? Cheryl says, you got to sponsor Raymond. I'm like 40 days or something like that. I said, what do I know? She said, stay one page, have him in the big book. She said, he asked you a question you can answer, you call me and I'll tell you the answer. And that's how we did this, okay? He stayed sober for 17 months. I stayed sober for 17 months. He went back out. I took it personal. What could I just driving me nuts. If I'd have called him, if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that. Eddie grabbed me and he says, you can't get them drunk and you can't keep them sober. I said, okay. Now, the guys, if you're in this room tonight and you're around 90 days, 90, 100 days sober, listen up. 82 days sober, I got a job. Family back together, working, bringing a paycheck in. Everything's perfect. I'm getting slack. I'm getting careless. I found this out later. I don't know it now, but I found out later. When I first got sober, Eddie says, you'll go on 12-step calls. Go on 12-step calls all the time. They don't do that anymore. I haven't heard that for a long time. Anyhow, this guy, Don Adamson, called up and he said, I want you to go on 12-step call with me. I said, okay. So I met him. Went to this Cocoa Palms in Lomita. A guy named Larry Thomas. Okay, Larry Thomas is in the meeting, right? He's drunker. He got drunk before we got there. We walk in into this hotel room. He's drunk. He threw us out. He kicked us out. We walked out of that place. I told Don, I said, boy, that guy's really a mess, isn't he? Excuse my language. I don't swear from the podium. But when Don grabbed me by the shoulder and shook me, and he says, you son of a bitch, you never have to be like that again if you don't want to. I got the program all over again. That was my sobriety point right there. That was a turning point in my sobriety. When I told him and Don told me what he told me, my sobriety changed right there. And I believe that I owe Larry Thomas my sobriety. To this day. See, I still got a year on him. When he talks about the same sobriety. He talks about the 12-step call. Different. His angle on it is a lot different than mine. But we still talk. We both hang on to that 12-step call, guys. So you just never know when you're going to get it. Say, you never know when the miracle is going to happen for you. Say, the miracle can happen for anybody over there, but when's it going to happen for me? Say, when you're waiting for the miracle to happen, it ain't going to. It'll never happen while you're waiting. When you start helping somebody else, and all of a sudden you're helping somebody else, and you realize, wow, I stayed sober today. Say, okay, my time's about up, so what I do, when I talk at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I always like to talk about the same thing. I close out with, Alcoholics Anonymous is 75 years old. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they tell us to take it one day at a time. Say, well, 33 AD, Jesus' disciples said to him, they said, Lord, teach us to pray. That's where the Lord's Prayer came from. And that's where Alcoholics Anonymous says, take it one day at a time. And the Lord's Prayer says, give us this day our daily bread. See, he's been telling us that for 75 years, but God's been doing it for 1967 years. Thank you.